Want your containers to stay vibrant even as summer fades? Well, you're in the right place. Today, I'm sharing 5 stunning perennial container ideas that will keep your garden glowing all the way into fall. These are long-lasting, low-maintenance combinations that not only look beautiful, but also give you color and life when most summer planters start winding down. And trust me, you'll want to stick around, because idea number 4 is a surprising combo you won't expect, but it just might become your new favorite. By the time late August rolls around, a lot of containers start looking tired. The flowers that were thriving in June and July begin to fade, and the whole display loses that fresh, full look we love. I remember one year I thought my big patio container was completely done for the season. Leaves yellowing, blooms gone, and I almost pulled it out. But instead, I swapped in a few hardy perennials, mixed in some fresh textures, and suddenly that same container carried me beautifully into October. That's when I realized, with the right plant choices, you don't have to say goodbye to glowing containers when summer ends. If you're new here, welcome. I share weekly tips and ideas to help you get the most out of your garden. So if you love gardening inspiration and want to keep learning with me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. All right, let's get started. Here's the first container idea you can try in your own garden. When I think of late summer and fall color, I can't help but picture golden yellows, rich oranges, and warm earthy tones. That's exactly the kind of glow you get with this first container idea. It's all about embracing those classic fall colors with bold, easy care perennials like rudbeckia, paired with the texture of sedum and the graceful movement of ornamental grasses. Together, they create that warm, timeless glow that feels like autumn in a pot. Here's why this combination works so beautifully. Rudbeckia, also called black-eyed Susan, brings in those cheerful golden yellow blooms that last and last. Sedum, especially the autumn joy varieties, adds not only deep pink to rust tones, but also a sturdy, upright texture that really holds its shape. And when you add in an ornamental grass, something airy like fountain grass or switchgrass, you get height, drama, and that gorgeous sway in the breeze. The 3 together give you color, structure, and movement all in one container. Now, when you're designing this type of container, think about using the classic thriller, filler, spiller formula. For your thriller, the eye-catching plant, go with an ornamental grass in the center or toward the back of your pot. That's your vertical drama. For your filler, rudbeckia is a perfect choice. Its golden daisy-like blooms spread out and fill the middle layer with that bold splash of color. And finally, for your spiller, you can trail something simple but effective, like creeping jenny for a lime green contrast, or even ivy to soften the edges of your container. This layering gives your container depth and dimension, so it looks full and intentional, not flat. Caring for this warm and classic glow container is simple too. These plants love full sun, so make sure your container is in a spot that gets at least 6 hours of direct light. Watering should be consistent, but don't overdo it. Let the top inch of soil dry out between waterings, especially for sedum, which hates soggy roots. A slow-release fertilizer at the start of the season will keep everything blooming strong into fall. And here's a little bonus tip: if your grass produces seed heads, leave them. They catch the light beautifully in September sunsets and add another layer of seasonal charm. So that's our first container, the warm and classic glow. Bold, golden, low maintenance, and timeless. Now, I want to hear from you. Would you try a container like this with golden tones and plenty of texture? Or do you lean more toward cooler colors in your fall garden? Let me know in the comments below. Now, if you love watching your garden come alive with movement, bees buzzing, butterflies drifting in, and hummingbirds darting around, then this second container idea is for you. I like to call it the Pollinator Paradise. Not only is it beautiful to look at, it's also functional because it supports the pollinators that keep our gardens thriving. The stars of this container are perennials like echinacea, salvia, and agastache. Let me break down why these work so well together. Echinacea, or coneflower, gives you those big, bold blooms that are absolute magnets for bees and butterflies. They come in shades of purple, pink, and even white, so you can choose the mood you want for your display. Salvia adds vertical spikes of rich purple or blue, which create a striking contrast and a sense of height in the container. And agastache, sometimes called hummingbird mint, pulls in pollinators of all kinds with its tubular flowers and aromatic foliage. The combination is not just a feast for your eyes, it's a buffet for pollinators. Designing this container is about variety and flow. Use echinacea as your main filler, Those strong, upright blooms create the heart of the display. Add salvia as your thriller, since its tall flower spikes give the arrangement height and drama. Then let agastache weave in between, softening the structure with its airy, delicate look. If you want to add a spiller, you could tuck in something like trailing verbena or calibrachoa for even more color and nectar sources. This creates layers of interest from top to bottom, and every layer is something pollinators will adore. As for care, this container thrives in full sun. Pollinator plants need that warmth to bloom their best. Make sure your soil is well draining. These perennials don't like to sit in wet feet. Water regularly, especially during hot late summer days, but allow the top layer to dry just a bit between waterings. A liquid bloom booster fertilizer every few weeks will keep the flowers coming, ensuring your container stays alive with activity well into fall. And here's another tip: don't deadhead echinacea too quickly. Those seed heads will provide food for birds later in the season. This container isn't just about looks, it's about creating a living ecosystem right on your patio, balcony, or doorstep. Every time you step outside, you'll hear the hum of bees and see butterflies stopping by. It's a container that rewards you with beauty and life. So here's my question for you. Would you try a pollinator-friendly container like this? If you would, drop a little bee emoji down in the comments. I'd love to see how many of you are planning to bring more pollinators into your garden this season. Sometimes fall containers are bursting with flowers, and that's beautiful. But what if you'd like something more timeless, something that carries you through the changing seasons and even holds its shape into winter? That's where our third idea comes in. I like to call this one Evergreen Elegance. This container isn't about short-lived blooms. It's about structure, texture, and year-round beauty. The foundation comes from small evergreen shrubs like dwarf boxwood or compact conifers, which give your container a sense of permanence and strength. Around that, you can layer in hardy perennials like hellebores, which bloom even in the chill of late winter, or colorful foliage plants like heuchera, also known as coral bells, that add shades of burgundy, lime, or even deep purple. And to soften everything, hardy ornamental grasses or trailing ivy can spill gently over the edges. Together, you get a container that looks full and elegant no matter the month. When designing an evergreen container, think of it as a mini landscape. Your evergreen shrub is the anchor, the thriller that provides height and stability. The heucheras or hellebores act as fillers, adding seasonal color and interest. And then your spillers, like ivy or trailing vinca, cascade down the sides, blurring the edges of the pot and making the whole design feel natural. This formula ensures your container never looks static, even if the main star isn't a flower. Care is surprisingly simple. Evergreens and hardy perennials don't need as much attention as flowering annuals. Place the container in part sun to full sun depending on the plants you've chosen. Water consistently, especially through fall when roots are still active, but don't overwater in cooler months. If you're in a colder climate, choose frost-hardy varieties and a sturdy, weather-resistant pot so your arrangement stays intact through winter. A slow-release fertilizer in spring will refresh everything for the year ahead. One of my favorite things about this container is how it evolves. In fall, the foliage colors deepen and the grasses catch the autumn light. In winter, the evergreens hold strong against frost, sometimes even dusted with snow. And in spring, hellebores bloom, signaling a fresh start. It's not just a fall container, it's a four-season beauty. So, tell me, if you had to choose, would you prefer a container like this that gives you structure and elegance year-round? Or do you still love the ever-changing bursts of color from seasonal blooms? Drop your answer in the comments, for flowers or for evergreens. I can't wait to see which one you lean toward. Alright, it's time for the container I teased at the beginning, the one that surprises people every time. This is idea number 4, and I like to call it the unexpected color combo. Instead of leaning on the warm reds, oranges, and yellows that we usually associate with fall, this container plays with cool tones, silvery foliage, and a few unusual accents that make it stand out. The foundation here is purple asters, those late-season bloomers that come alive just as many summer plants are fading. Their rich violet tones instantly signal fall, but with a cooler, more modern edge. To pair with them, I like to add dusty miller or silver sage. That silvery foliage not only contrasts beautifully with purple, it also catches the low autumn sunlight in such a magical way. And for a real seasonal twist, consider ornamental kale or cabbage. Their ruffled leaves and shades of green, cream, and purple give your container an unexpected, textured look that feels festive and fresh. Designing this container is all about contrast and surprise. Place your asters toward the back or center to act as the thriller. Use ornamental kale as your filler. Their rounded, layered leaves balance out the spiky asters. Then let your dusty miller trail slightly or spill over the edges for that icy silver touch. The overall effect is a container that looks unique, artistic, and a little different from the typical fall display. Care for this one is easy too. Asters love full sun, and they'll reward you with blooms well into the season. Dusty miller is drought tolerant, so don't overwater. Kale is hardy and can handle cooler temperatures, sometimes even a light frost, which means your container keeps looking good when others have given up. Use well-draining soil and keep watering moderate, and this combination will thrive well past September. What I love most about this idea is that it challenges expectations. People are used to seeing fall containers in fiery colors, so when they spot cool purples, silvers, and soft greens, it makes them stop and look closer. It feels fresh, creative, and a little different from the typical fall display. So here's my question for you. Would you dare to try silver foliage in your fall containers? Does that cool-toned look appeal to you, or do you prefer to stay with the traditional warm glow? Tell me in the comments, are you team silver or team gold? And now for our fifth and final idea. This one is all about ending the season with a bang. I like to call it the late season showstoppers. These are the containers that take center stage in September and October when most summer flowers have faded, but your garden can still be bursting with color. The stars of this container are asters and mums. Both of these perennials are classic fall bloomers, and when you mix them with a few long-lasting partners, you get a container that feels full, dramatic, and completely seasonal. Imagine a deep purple aster paired with bright golden mums. It's like autumn fireworks in a pot. To give your arrangement even more depth, add in sedum for those rosy tones and texture, or tuck in an ornamental grass to bring height and movement. Designing this container is about layering color and structure. Place the tallest element, like a grass or a tall sedum, toward the back or center for height. Let your mums act as fillers, spreading out with their cheerful, dense blooms. Then use asters to weave color through the middle and front. To soften the edges, you can trail ivy, creeping jenny, or even pansies that can handle the cooler weather. This creates a container that looks lush and complete without leaving gaps as the season progresses. Caring for late-season containers is a little different. Mums in particular need consistent water to stay vibrant, but be careful not to soak them. They dislike soggy soil. Deadheading spent blooms will encourage fresh blooms and extend the show well into fall. Asters and sedum are more forgiving, so they'll carry the display even if the mums slow down. And here's a pro tip: stagger your bloom times by mixing early blooming and late blooming varieties. That way, as one plant starts to fade, another is just hitting its stride. This container is perfect if you want your garden to look festive and full right up to the first frost. It's the kind of arrangement that makes your porch, patio, or front entryway pop, and it gives you that last burst of garden joy before winter sets in. So I'd love to know, what's your opinion on mums? Do you love them for that classic fall look, or do you find them a bit overdone? Drop your answer in the comments. Mums, love them or leave them? So there you have it, 5 stunning perennial container ideas to keep your garden glowing from late summer into fall. Let's do a quick recap before I share one final bonus tip. First, we had the warm and classic glow, bold rudbeckia, sedum, and grasses for that timeless golden autumn feel. Second, the Pollinator Paradise, echinacea, salvia, and agastache, buzzing with bees and butterflies. Third, Evergreen Elegance, shrubs, hellebears, and heucheras for structure and year-round appeal. Fourth, the unexpected color combo, cool purples, silvers, and ornamental kale for a fresh, artistic twist. And finally, the late-season showstoppers, asters and mums layered with texture for a grand autumn finale. Now here's my bonus tip. If you want to keep your containers looking fresh even longer, don't be afraid to tuck in a few seasonal annuals. Things like pansies, violas, or even ornamental peppers can fill little gaps and keep color going when other plants start to fade. It's a simple trick, but it stretches the life of your container right up until frost. I hope these ideas sparked some inspiration for your own garden. Fall doesn't have to mean the end of beauty in your containers. In fact, with the right plant choices, it can be one of the most vibrant seasons of all. So, which of these 5 ideas was your favorite? Comment below with the number 1 through 5 and tell me how you'd make it your own. I love hearing your ideas and seeing how creative this community gets. If you enjoyed this video and you want more garden inspiration, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss my weekly tips. Thanks so much for spending this time with me in the garden today. Until next time, keep growing, keep experimenting, and most of all, keep enjoying your garden.